Thank you so much. Well, that was an intro. You better tell my wife all of that. I don't know if she knows that. I'm so amazing. Okay, thanks guys for coming, and thanks for coming on a rainy day to Cybershire. I really appreciate it. So here we're going to talk about full contact distribution, which is a name we actually came up with Khailee on what I was doing, but I didn't have like a good marketing name. So we came up with this full contact distribution for fast growth, and then we will talk about some other tricks. So one thing I learned from Guy Kawasaki is to tell you how many ideas I'm going to tell you first. So if I'm sucking at the presentations, at least you know how long I'm going to go for. So this is the first idea. We have 12 ideas to cover, and I think it's fun and you get value out of it. So here's what, to understand growth hacking, here's what you need to understand. Especially for me, it's very hard. I go, to like dozens of companies and I try to help them. So how do I create a framework that allows me to think? It doesn't matter if you're selling bus tickets online or credit card application or expensive villas in Bali or gold bars or info products or live events or system administration services. Whatever you are selling, you need to have a framework so you can go and apply your skills. So what I'm going to talk to you about is kind of how I think about growth in any type of startup. And when I talk to entrepreneurs, they always say, oh, my business is different, this won't work. And it normally works. So basically, what I'm going to tell you, it's proven to work for a lot of companies. So the first idea I want to get across today is that no matter what you do, we're all in the same business. And what I mean by that is that actually the main equation of a business is to turn advertising or impressions, and this doesn't mean to be only pay-per-click or only Facebook or only SEO. It could be somebody talking about your business to some friend. It could be a sign you put on your door, and that's an advertising stimulus, right? Because we need to turn all of those impressions into money and hopefully happy customers. And every business in the planet is that way. Can you think of any business that it doesn't match this pattern? No, people cannot give you money if they haven't heard about you. So the first thing you need to do to have a successful business is that people know about you. And one of the things we do at growth and marketing and distribution is how we can get people to know and talk about us so other people can come and give us money, right? And whatever we do, and then hopefully they give us money and they are happy giving us their money and they come back. So the equation of a successful business, any business in the planet, is like this. If whatever you do to get your word across, and again, I'm not talking only about paid advertising, although I'm going to talk a lot about that today, and I'll explain you why I'm in love with paid advertising. But the normal equation is if the cost of your impression plus the cost of delivering your service or product is lower than the money that that your clients pay you, then that means you have a profitable business, and hopefully you have happy customers that tell others, so you don't need to spend that much in advertising next time. Make sense? Okay? Good. So every single successful business meets and fits this equation. What it changes about all the businesses you want to start is this little box, but the structure remains. And if this is not true, then basically, if that's true, you have a profitable business. If that's not true, then it's game over, right? You cannot scale. And sometimes people say, well, but what about venture-funded companies that are losing money every day? Well, but at least they have the expectation that one day it will look like this, right? Maybe it doesn't look like this right now, but they have the expectation that one day they will be acquiring customers and providing the services for less money than what the customers pay to them. So it doesn't matter if it is now or if it is in the future, every successful business fits that equation. So basically what I need to focus is just on the parts that matter to every business. And that's what I'm going to do now, is to talk about how to build better impressions, how to target better, how to think about impressions better. So the second idea I want to get across today is this one. Basically, hopefully you build a unicorn. Are you familiar with the term unicorn? No? Yes? So basically it's a startup that is worth more than $1 billion, right? So hopefully, I hope someday one of you, and I always say these talks, build a $1 billion company, and then I get, you know, when they tell their story, I went to that class from this guy, at least I get that credit. But I hope you get there. But you know, I know we all have dreams and all and everything, but it's highly unlikely, right? It's highly unlikely because it's unlikely. These things are called unicorns for that particular reason. So it's also not that probable that you are as gifted as Drew Houston from Dropbox or Steve Jobs or any of those, or the Google guys. So basically, that thing of creating, you know, like an Airbnb from scratch, it doesn't happen that much. And even if you are, you know, you still need to generate traction and people to know about you. So I would love for everybody to create a Dropbox and Evernote that doesn't need paid traffic, and they grow, and the product is so amazing that people don't need to advertise. Normally, it doesn't happen. So I'd rather prepare you for a little bit more of reality where you can actually, you know, spend some money and get some traction and see if that's working. So, idea number 3 of 12. Distribution won't make your product suck less. So, if you actually have a terrible product, there's nothing I can do to help you, or at least not directly. What I can do with distribution, though, is I can help you get data to fix it. What happens normally is people go through this cycle. They launch. They get covered because they got venture funding. They get covered in TechCrunch or any of these fancy blogs. They get a shitload of traffic to their site. They get a lot of users, mostly their friends, family, and their investors. Then users leave. So they say, oh, user left. That's bad. Yeah, it's bad. So how do I fix it? Oh, okay, we should do this and that and these other things. And they deploy some fixes, right? And then they go, I need more users. But then they run out of friends and press. So how do they get the more users? So then they say, oh, I'm not getting more users because my product feature is not good enough. So then what happens? Those things are theories on the air. They are not getting any data. It's just they are thinking about it, but they are not getting users to validate that learning. So the way you need to do this is basically you launch, you get users, mostly from friends, family, free traffic, press, whatever. Then you have analytics in place, so you learn what happened to those users. Then you hypothesize how to fix why they left. Then you try to get more users and acquire more users, so to see if what you fix is actually true. I've seen a lot of startups like just going and changing their product and changing their product and changing their product based on just a hunch without data. And even when they changed from A to B and from B to C, they didn't actually get any more users to say, oh, I need to change it again. It's more like they had a distribution problem, not a product problem, at least not yet. So you need fresh blood, and here's where this presentation, I think, it will help you. So, idea 4 of 12. Master instant paid traffic. And the reason why I want you to understand this and master paid traffic is because of this. It will save you time and make you learn faster. First of all, people who thinks there is free traffic? Yeah? People say SEO is free traffic, right? Would you agree with that? Well, that's crap. There's no such thing as free traffic. There's traffic that you pay with sweat, like working and talking to people, and that also has a cost. It's not a monetary cost, but it's a time cost. And you pay, and there's traffic you pay with money. You know, SEO works, and it's beautiful when it works, but what happens with most startups is by the time you get the SEO working, your acceleration program is over because it only lasts from 2 to 3 months, or you're out of cash. So now you cannot go and say, oh, I wish I had this traffic when I had the acceleration program, and you know, people spend all this time blogging and writing articles and doing all that stuff just to get users. It's a lot better to go and pay Facebook or Google like $50 a day, and you will get traffic. And you know what? If I write an article, I don't know if that article is going to be good. If I make a video, I don't know if that video will go viral. But there's something I do know. If I give Google or Facebook money, they will send me traffic. So then, that uncertainty is out of my plan again. And what allows me to do is, okay, I do a feature, spend a little bit of traffic, see what happened. Didn't work, try again, spend a little bit of traffic, you know, and I can iterate very, very fast with paid traffic. And you can turn it on and off as you wish. SEO, you started, you're positioning yourself for a keyword, then you needed to do a pivot. And then you pivoted, then that traffic is garbage because it's for another keyword, not what your startup is doing. So all that time, it's like wasted. I'm not saying SEO is bad. I'm saying you should do it from the very beginning. You shouldn't trust your growth process only to SEO. It's a lot faster, a lot easier, a lot cheaper to learn with paid traffic. And again, I'm aware that paid traffic doesn't work for everybody. Like for example, Dropbox has this very good case study where they explain why it didn't work for them. But paid traffic allowed them to split test a viral loop and then get more traffic until they got it correctly. So then they don't need that much paid traffic. So that's the fourth idea. Are we cool until here? Because here is where the action starts. This was the groundwork. So the fifth idea is, okay, Juan, you convince me, I'm going to do paid traffic. Awesome. So you will go there and you will build a funnel. So when I approach a startup, most of their funnels look like this. You have a guy searching for some of your product or services, and you advertise on Google in the main keyword. So if you're selling gold bars, you will go gold bars. If you're selling, you know, bus tickets, you will go bus tickets. If you're selling, you know, system admin services, you will go cloud services administration or sysadmin administration. And then you send it to your website, and hopefully you make money. That's mostly what people do to validate their startup. Here's the problem with that. If you're in a competitive market, like you're creating a CRM for small businesses, right? A keyword like CRM could cost you from $40 to $50 a click. How long are you going to be in that market before you quit? Before you get, like, if you get 1,000 clicks, 2,000 leads, and you're sending them to a funnel that is unproven, you probably suck at writing copy, you don't know how to follow up with them, and you're not sure your product is good enough and it works. And how much are you going to last if you do that? Not that much time. So it's very hard if you start like this. Even if you make it work, it's hard to scale, because what can I do to get more people if the only thing I'm doing is buying the CRM keyword? How can I get more people to search for CRM? Exactly, I cannot do anything. Like, that's the difference between demand generation and demand fulfillment. We will talk about that later. But it's really a big difference. You will hit a cap very, very early on your company. Then what happens is you go to a guy like Khailee and said, Khailee, I got 100 users, I paid only $10 a user. Because you were advertising for buy bus tickets online, just that keyword. Someone that searches buy bus tickets online, what do they want to do? Yeah, buy bus tickets online, right? So that's hyper efficient, and that's why Google, it's a very valuable company, right? So basically we are starting with the most efficient way of buying media. Like demand fulfillment. Somebody wants something, I give it to them. So now you go and promise to Khailee that you get users at $10 a pop. And that's amazing. Congratulations. Here's $1 million. Now you want to scale that, and you go, okay, I want to spend $1 million because every time I get a user, for 10 I get 20. Then you can't, because there's no that much people searching for CRM or searching for whatever you are selling. Now, you go and you say, Khailee, we need to spend more money per user. You know, the number I told you actually was a little bit wrong. And this is something that is bad on the side of VCs and on the entrepreneur. The VC kind of goes, oh yeah, maybe they did the math and I did the math, and the entrepreneur doesn't know about this, so he thinks whatever he's paying now is what he will pay all the time. Like, I see this with mobile app companies. They say, I'm paying $1 per download, per install, and people are here and, yeah, try to scale that to millions of users. You won't pay $1 million per install. Media rarely gets more efficient as you scale. It's very rare that that happens. So, and then what happens with that little funnel also is that if your competitor can and is willing to spend more money than you, he will crash you. Because all the advertising platforms online are bidding platforms. So if I can bid higher than you, I will get a lot more traffic than you will get. So if there are 3, 4, 5 players on the, buy gold bars online, the guy that pays the most will be the one that gets the most traffic and the guy that gets the most impressions. And if you're in a winner-takes-it-all market, like in a Kickstarter market or an eBay market or this type of marketplaces, to be first and to be the biggest matters a lot. And the only way you can outspend them is if you have better conversions, you insist more, and your funnels are a bit better. So remember this funnel. We're going to try to turn that funnel into something a little bit more complex when I'm done with the 12 ideas. So idea number 6. Let's talk about channels and approaches. So we have the basic now, that is, we have impressions that turn into money and happy customers. And I will say, okay, let's talk about the impressions. What's my framework to think about impressions? So the way I buy ads is basically understanding that I have channels, which is places where I advertise on: Google, Google Display Network, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Gmail, whatever you want to put ads on. And then I have approaches, which is what strategy, how I'm going to think about going on to that type of market. And combining these things, right? A lot of people, they go and say, they search for the main keywords. So you are selling, I sell info products. I have a course on law of attraction, maybe. So I go law of attraction. That's the only thing I do, like in the Spanish market. And if I did that, then I will be missing in a lot of opportunities. And I do it only in Google search. So that's mostly, that's the channel is Google search. The keyword is law of attraction or meditation or whatever product I'm trying to sell, right? So, but there are a lot of combinations between all these channels and all of these approaches. So you have channels and you have approaches. So mixing our channels and approaches, we go from this model where I have a guy just searching for the main keyword, going to my website and hopefully giving me money, to something like this. And who do you think will scale more? The guy that is doing this or the guy that is doing this? Like, this is a lot more work, it's a lot more impressions, but also will give me a lot better cost or real cost of what a user will look like, because something like this is how how the math will look when you scale. Like an Airbnb, a Lazada, all the rocket internet companies, so all the big companies, they do all of these. So let me explain what this is. So I'm going to give you now 25 plus campaign templates that you will need to run on your startup to get users. Some of them won't work very well, some of them will work superbly, so you need to do all 25 or more, and then stick to what works and stop doing what doesn't. Make sense? So let's start. So the first campaign type is Google search. Someone searches for a CRM, suppose you have a CRM software, then you put here, this is Soho, it's a competitor to Salesforce, and then you go CRM software leaders, and you have here. That's where most people stop. And that causes the problems I just talked about. So, and one of those problems is this. When you look at the keyword tool, Google keyword tool, and now it's called Google Keyword Planner, Google tells you, like if you look for CRM, Google expects you to pay about 37 bucks a click. And that's kind of an average. You could pay up to 50. And then if you go for customer relationship management, they expect you to pay 45. So the problem is, it doesn't matter if you raise $1 million, you will spend it pretty quickly, 50 bucks a click, right? So that's the first type of campaign. That's what most people do. Then you have Google search, your brand. And a lot of people forget about this, or they tell me, oh, when people search for me, I'm always first. Why do I need to pay for my own name in AdWords? First, because if you are not first, a competitor will try to do that and will be first when you search for that name. And then secondly is, if you have a whole page of results, right? Would you love to get it all with your name if someone searches for your brand name? Of course you will. So you're recognizing that more slots in the first page is better than less slots. So now, if you're first, you can also be first on paid advertising, and now you have 2 slots, and the real estate, that if you look at it in a notebook, the real estate you're occupying, it's almost like 100% or even maybe 80% of the page if you're there first. So it helps a lot to do that. So we show a company that optimizes PPC. So the third campaign is to do Google search for your competitor's name. So if someone is trying to search for your competitor, that means he's interested in buying a product or service that you have. Make sense? So look at what, and in Google you cannot use their competitor name in the ad, that's against their policies, but you can do clever things like, Kissmetrics, Neil Patel's company, he was here at Startup Academy, super sharp guy, read his blog, he's actually great and knows a lot. Neil Patel, he was here, and he owns Kissmetrics. And then there's a company that is a competitor of them, Mixpanel. They researched, and they understood that a lot of people complain a little bit about Kissmetrics, that the reports are slow and hang. So when you search for Kissmetrics, they go, tired of your reports hanging. And you see that. And someone that is looking for Kissmetrics, they are actually needing an analytics software, and guess what? Mixpanel is an analytics software. So now you're not only appearing when someone searches for analytics software, you're not only appearing when someone searches for Mixpanel, you are also appearing when someone is searching or looking for your competitors. There are some people talking about, like Kissmetrics reviews, because before buying, they want to see what people are saying. Kissmetrics experiences, Kissmetrics testimonials, and you could do that, and every time someone searches for one of your competitors, you will be there. And then here's where I spend most of my time doing advertising, and here's what allows you to truly scale. So if I am here selling a CRM, I can do search keyword, CRM, I can do my brand, I can do my competitor's brand, but who's also qualified to buy a CRM? Well, a sales manager, or a CEO, or someone worried about sales. So what are these guys searching? And here's what I call lateral thinking. So what are these guys searching? So maybe they go Excel dashboards for sales. They want to have templates for that. And you can say, you don't need Excel. Our CRM does it automatically. Guess what? That's the same guy that searches for CRM, but this keyword will cost you $1 a click or $2 a click, not 50. So it's a lot better. So let's put a couple other examples. So we have weight loss products in the Spanish market. Like, as you can see, I don't use them. But basically, we use a lot of lateral thinking for these weight loss products. Because if I go with an info product, like a little ebook that teaches you how to eat better, and I'm competing with a guy that does a cellulitis treatment, or a spa for weight loss, or a MaGIC pill that you need to eat, or what, those things, they will kill me if I go just on weight loss. So what I do is, if a woman is looking to buy diapers, what does that tell me about her? She was pregnant, she probably has some weight to lose. That's a lot cheaper to advertise on. If a woman is looking for wedding dresses, what does that tell me about her? That she doesn't want to be fat when everyone is looking at her and they take pictures, right? So if someone searches for wedding dress, I can show an ad like, how to not look fat at your wedding, or things like that. If they are searching for wedding catering, they're getting married and they need that. If they are searching for wedding ring, if they are searching for wedding gifts, I go into a wedding, and I know that when my wife goes to a wedding, she goes on a date. I don't know why, but she's thin and she's hot, but she goes like, I want to be thinner, for the wedding. And before she goes to the wedding, she searches for wedding gifts. So you get the point, right? It's how do you get to go to that, inside that prospect mind and start doing that. So how to breastfeed? Someone, they have trouble. So I have 2 kids, you can see them, I think it's a picture later. And I have 2 kids, and I know with my wife, we were Googling that stuff because the little guy didn't come with instruction manuals, so we need to learn that. So how far can you go lateral, like go into this approach? And basically it's until your gross margin, like the amount of money you make per transaction, and your conversions hold. And if it's holding, keep going, right? And try a lot. And you know what? This is one of the most fun parts of doing advertising. You get to be creative. You get to apply your creativity. You get to find new ideas and find new buckets of users that are a lot cheaper than the traditional methods. So most people, even the majority of people do only main keyword. If I have a very smart guy, when I go into a startup, they do branded and maybe they do competitor. And again, some of them may not work, right? Because if someone is searching for a competitor, maybe they already decided, but you gotta try. But that's all they do. So now Google has this thing called the display network. Do you know what the display network is? There are sites that you see ads by Google that you can advertise on that. So now you can do the same approaches, but in another channel. So you can do campaign type 5, 6, 7, and 8 on Google Display Network. And if someone is searching, like if someone is looking for CRM information or reading an article about CRM information, or a blog or a web page, I want to be with my ad there. Are you looking for a CRM? Get our free trial, right? If someone is reading a blog article, a web page or whatever about my brand, I want to be there. If someone is reading an article or a blog or a web page about my competitor's brand, I want to be there. And if someone is reading an article on how to train sales teams, or, and again, this is for the example of the CRM, right? Or how to manage sales teams, how to delegate, how to fix a quota for a sales guy, whatever. If they are reading about that, that tells me something. They are a sales guy, or they're a sales manager, that they may need a CRM. So, those are two channels, Google Search and Google Display Network. Let's go to another channel. Which one is the second search engine in the world? Who knows? Bing? No, it's YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is the second search engine in the world. So people go to Google to learn how to do things and to search things, then they go to YouTube. So now, if someone, you can run YouTube ads here. And you can, when people watch videos about your keywords, CRM, customer automation software, customer relationship management software, whatever, you can appear there with ads. When they search for your brand to see if there are testimonials, if there are complaints or whatever, some people go there to YouTube because, you know, in some markets people get pissed off and they do a YouTube video. So you go there and you can be there. And then if they go and search for your competitor, maybe how to use Salesforce or whatever, how to configure Salesforce, I want to be in an ad with Soho. And again, this gets a lot less expensive than the keyword of CRM in search. And when people watch videos about lateral thinking, then you would also want to be there. So now you're not only like appearing when they search your name, when they search your competitor names, when you search my keywords and lateral thinking, you are also appearing when they're reading about these things, and then you are also appearing when they're watching videos about these things. So now you start seeing, like, if this guy is buying a CRM, there's no way that he doesn't know about me. No way. So that's another channel, YouTube, and you should take advantage of that. And the next channel is Gmail ads. Who uses Gmail here? Okay, most of you guys. So basically, you notice that Gmail has these ads on the right and sometimes at the top, right? So what you can do here is, if someone receives an email about, let's say, for example, my product on meditation, and someone receives an email that talks about meditation or yoga or something like that, I want to be there in that Gmail account with my ad. Maybe, you know, some of the guys, of the sales guy, I know what books they read or what books they buy. So when I get an email with an Amazon receipt with any of these book titles, I want to show them an ad, because I know if you bought that book, you could be a potential customer for me. I know that, you know, how many of you would like to end up with Lazada's email list? It's powerful. They probably have millions of people into their email list. I can go and say, okay, let's do a competitor list for, and if the email is Lazada, and you know, because of the CAN Spam Act, we need to put the address when we send an email. We can bid on the address and say, each email and has this address, then show this ad, and I can basically steal my competitor's email list, or at least the Gmail one, make sure that they all see my ads. So now, if you are a lawyer, right, and someone, you know, a girl tells a friend, hey, I'm divorcing him, you can actually put an ad and say, bid on the keyword divorce, and put an ad on Gmail and get traffic from there. You won't get it shitload of traffic, but it's very targeted and very specific traffic, and it compounds, because now that girl, maybe they click on the ad, they went to your site, now you put a remarketing pixel, now you're following them, we will talk about that. So these are campaigns 13, 14, 15, 16, which is, branded in Gmail. When you send them an email, maybe you want to also, if they are reading your email, maybe you want to make them an offer like 30% off because you know that they're reading your email. Maybe it's a competitor email, maybe it's main keyword email, or maybe it's lateral thinking email. Make sense? So now you have when people are searching for you, when people are reading about all these approaches, when people are watching videos about that, and when people are receiving emails about that. So, then you will get clicks to your website. And then it's important that you start doing remarketing. What is remarketing? Are you familiar with the concept of remarketing? No? Well, I'll explain it. So basically you click, you go to my website, and because my website has special code on it, it puts a cookie on your browser. And what that allows the platforms to do is to follow you around. So have you noticed that maybe you visited Lazada or some of these sites, and you visit shoes, and then you start seeing shows or seeing electronics or whatever? Well, that happens a lot, and they start following you there. And now you feel, well, Lazada is big enough, but I was working in a project to sell swimming pools, and we went like, what if we start doing remarketing? When people search for swimming pool or watch a video about how to pick a swimming pool guy or whatever, then they think we're the Coca-Cola of swimming pools, because we're following around, and they say, how these guys have this much money on advertising? And it's not that, it doesn't cost that much, because you're following actually the user. And what you need to do is you need to understand, like, you need to target people that visited but didn't sign up. So you say, so if someone clicked on your ad, it's because he was interested. But maybe your conversion was bad or your page was bad, but you still need to follow him. And maybe the ad is, hey, come back. We really want to make it right. Sign up again, or it's free, or whatever. Then you go and target people that signed up but did not activate. So maybe they signed up, but they got busy and didn't activate. Then you go and target people that activated, but didn't buy. So, hey, you're missing these features. If you're not buying Dropbox, you're missing whatever, or 30% off, or whatever. And then you can target people that went to the checkout page. They were almost buying. Something happened, they stopped. And checkout abandonments, in general, are above 80%. That means you get people to sign up, to visit your page, sign up, activate, click on the buy button, they go there, 80% abandoned. That guy was interested. Why don't you follow up with him? So you can do that with remarketing. And that's kind of the 4 campaigns you can do. And then you can also do these on Facebook. So now people see you all the way around the web because you're following them. And then they will also see you in the Facebook feed. Have you noticed that sometimes you go to a website and they start appearing in the Facebook feed? So then you do the same thing for Facebook feed. And now we are at 24 campaigns that you can start tomorrow that make sense, that will give you a lot of, like a better cost average. So when you talk to your investor, you will tell them the truth of how much a user costs, and will give you a lot more volume than just doing search. Make sense? It's useful? Okay, awesome. So then you can do Facebook campaigns, and Facebook campaigns on people who are interested about the topics that make sense to you, that are part of the groups that make sense to you, that have jobs or positions that make sense to your product, that are fans of some of your competitors or like some of their competitors' topics, and people who read books or watch movies that make them part of your target market. And you can also create similar audiences, like Facebook, will get, like, you will upload your customer list, and Facebook will go do some big data math and figure out that maybe all of your customers, they are, from 18 to 25, they have a computer science degree, and they love chihuahuas. And you say, how did you get that insight? I don't know, but with big data, Facebook can do that. And when you do this, the conversion rates are amazing. So now you set up all these Facebook campaigns. And again, we're trying, and you can do this, if you're trained, you can do this in a day or 2 days. It's not that much work. It's just a matter of being creative and learning the approach. So most campaigns, if you're still counting, I think we're at 30 or whatever, clone would work in Yahoo and Bing. There are people that still use that shit. Like, really. I don't know why, but there's people, sorry, some Microsoft sponsor me, so yeah. But there are people that they still use that, and for some demographics, the conversion rates are better. My mom, she doesn't have a Gmail account. Actually, now I got her to switch. But for years, she got a Hotmail account, right? So it's important. Who has a Hotmail account? Seriously? Well, there's this thing called Gmail. It's faster. So, and I can put ads, show ads to you. So it's, in any case, so Yahoo and Bing can also be a very good source of traffic for you. So try it out. Don't start there because it's a lot of effort just for 5–10% more traffic. But if you're looking for that slight edge, just try it out. So you can go and do all these campaigns, and now you understand how someone that is in the CRM market, if I do this, there's something I know. They will know about me. It maybe they don't buy from me, but I got the impression. I got that, right? So, is it worth to do this? Is it worth the trouble? So this is from one of my accounts in the last 2 years, I think it is. We spent more than $1 million doing this. We've driven more than 9 million clicks. And 83% from our traffic comes from display. So from banners, from YouTube, from, things that are not search. And 87 of the conversions. So if I didn't do all these, my company will be 10% or 15% of the size. So it's worth it to master it. Not everything that I throw up there in the wall or it will work, but it gives me the volume to be able to try it out. So it's not only worth it, again, it's needed. If you're raising capital, one thing is you're getting screwed up unit economics if you're not doing all these things, because when you go and you try to scale your company, it won't work at the price of search. It will be a little bit more expensive. So, and then we have another problem, which is channel fatigue or channel exhaustion. So this is from an account of, and we try to keep the data private, so you won't see for which business or whatever. But we're one of our customers. They say, I'm investing more in search. I'm not getting more sales. And I said, well, maybe you hit the max. And they are already at 72, 75%, in some cases 90-something% of impression share. That means out of 4 times someone searches, they show up in 3. They can increase the bids so they show up in 100%, but that won't double their company. Maybe that will increase their company by 20%, 15%. So what do? I run out of a channel. Yeah, well, you need to go to another channel. Maybe you need to go offline. Maybe you need to go to Facebook now. Maybe you need to go to Bing and Yahoo. Maybe you need to do other stuff. So if you look at in Google AdWords, the column you can put it and say impression share, and you're hitting 100% there, you're over 70%, you are almost maxing out the channel. And the problem with that is that most people are doing only demand fulfillment. Because in display network, there's a lot more traffic than searches are for CRM. So it's very important that you actually tap on these display traffic. How am I doing with time? I think I'm bad, right? Is it okay if I
take as long as you want.
Okay. So idea number 8. So this is a Diego funnel length correlation. So when I talk to founders, they are in love with their product. They think their product is amazing, and that's okay. It should be that way. I don't want you, like, it's hard to sell something that you think it's crap, right? So it's okay. But this brings a problem. Like, normally no one gets married in the first day, except in Vegas. I went to Vegas like 3 months ago, and I've seen some crazy stuff there. So it's a little bit of, you know, if you're asking somebody for money, it's a little bit of a selection process. They get to know you, then they go for a date, and selling online is the same. Especially if you're trying to sell things like, one of the companies was trying to sell a gold bar over the internet. Like, you know, like a proper gold bar. And people need to trust that you're going to deliver it, that the gold will be, you know, real gold. And so how do you increase confidence with that? You can say, they go buy gold bar and say, here's the gold bar, buy it. You know, it won't work like that. It needs a little bit of confidence and trust. So it's important to know that there's, you know, one step at a time. So how do I know that things take time? This is my wife. These are my 2 little kids, and this is me. They are horrible. But how do I know? Well, my wife, when I started, when I got interested on her, she was dating another guy. So, but I was still interested, right? And I look like this, so I needed to make an effort. So what I did was, I made a point that I will always be in her inbox. What that means is, I will always have a proposal for her. Hey, let's go for dinner, let's go for theater, let's go do something fun, you know? And she would say no, 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 until one day. That guy treated her badly, and I was there in her inbox. So what I'm trying to say is your prospects also think that way. Like, your prospect is buying a CRM because there was here at a conference, we need a CRM. And then the guy goes, CRM, 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 CRM. And then the boss comes, says, no, I don't want the CRM, it's too easy or whatever, the guy forgets another priority. But then the CRM thing will come back one time. And if you're in the inbox and you're insisting and you're following him with ads or whatever, then when he needs the CRM and actually is ready to buy it, your name is going to come up in his mind. And that's how it works. And sometimes we want to close the sale right immediately, and I've seen that a 2-step selling, it's a lot better. So why don't we turn these, right? And this, you're already a lot more sophisticated than the first funnel, remember? Now you're showing up, but now you got the clicks, but the people went to your page, and now you're not following up with them. So you're getting a lot of exposure, but you're not doing the job of being in their inbox and kind of going through their customer journey. So why don't we turn this into something more pro like this? And what I'm going to share with you is all the things we do when I get a funnel. The good thing, don't tell anyone, right? But the good thing about doing consulting sometimes is that I get to see the best way to boost somebody's business is to get them to do something that they weren't doing. So if they weren't doing like, you know, like sending an email after they register, I say, why don't you send an email after they register? And then you boost their business because they weren't doing it before, and it can be automated. So here's how a big funnel looks like. So people will come through all these channels, right, and remarketing and things like that, and then they will come to your website. because we believe in a two-step process, so we don't ask somebody to marry us before getting them to the cinema or whatever. I don't know what's the process in Asia. So we believe in free trials and giving free things, so we make a free trial. And then, because we believe people need to have trust, and especially in countries or in regions like Asia, and I come from South America, like 50–60% of the customers that buy from me the first time they put the credit card online is with me. They're fucking scared when they are doing that thing. They will think that I will give their credit card for millions of dollars or whatever. Like, I wish I could do that, but I can. So I put a phone number and I put a chat there. And even putting a phone number, even if you don't pick up, it increases conversions. We try that. You will go to a Skype inbox and you know, we will call you back later. Now, we figured that it's better if you pick up also. But you know, yeah. So that gives trust. And then if people are doubtful, then you put a chat. So that's what you do in your website. And now what you do, they sign up, and then you put a drip sequence. Hey, did you sign up? How was your first experience? Thank you for trying our product. Hey, here's the first tip to do our product. Hey, why are you not logging into our product? And then you do these drip sequences. How long are they? Well, the more ego you have, that you think you are so beautiful that people will marry you the first time they meet you, the shorter it will be. Mine are like 180 days long, so I keep there until you say unsubscribe or you buy from me, right? I'm not saying be an asshole that only go whoa, buy. You can invite to theater, sometimes to McDonald's, sometimes, you know, to like whatever, karaoke, I guess, is here. So you can do all that process in drip sequences. But then sometimes they will go to the pricing page. What happens there? They go to a pricing page, that tells me they are almost there to buy. What if I detect with a particular software, I tell you what we use, that you went to the pricing page, and I can send you, hey, I noticed you went to the pricing page, and this may be creepy or maybe not to tell them, I knew you were to the pricing page. But maybe you say, hey, we're running a sale, 30% off, and you don't offer that 30% off to everybody. You offer it only to the guys that were in the pricing page more than 30 seconds. And that's what triggered email is about. And then they finish that, right? And they bought, or maybe after they sign up, then you go and insert a viral loop and you say, hey, tell your friends. And you don't need to master a whole lot of these. You get one right. Dropbox was viral loop. They got these right. The company grew. It's a multiple $billion company. The guys from Airbnb, they got this Craigslist thing to get impressions. They got just that right. What I'm saying is, if you do most of these, the chances are that you hit it good in one of these, it will help you a lot. So now you do a viral loop after the finish. But you know, if you're selling something like CRM, it's a very long buying process. So it's very hard to convince people in a web page. So what you can do is sign up for our free webinar on how to implement a CRM in your company. So now you have them for an hour listening to your presentation. So sign up for a book, for an ebook on you know, sales dashboards for newly promoted sales managers. And you go there. And then you can do infographics or whatever. And you use all of these not only to drive traffic to your website, but also to drive traffic to your webinars, to your ebooks, and to your infographics, and things that go viral. And then what you do is, you will have social media presence. And from the emails, you send them to social media, and from social media, you send them to webinars, to your pricing page, to the ebooks, to whatever. And then after you're done with this all automated thing, you still do broadcasts. So, you know, Black Friday comes in, and you go, for everybody, 30% off. Or Cyber Monday comes in, or Christmas, I don't care. I ran a sale once, because I was turning 30 years old, Then I ran a 30% off campaign. Then I have a friend that taxes came in, and he said, you know what, I need to pay taxes. I'm running a sale. And every excuse is a good excuse and a good reason to run a promotion. If you are into discounting, some of the companies, they say it hurts the brand or whatever. I don't think that's the case. In most cases, unless you're Rolex or Gucci or whatever, it's okay. People are used to having sales and discounts and whatever. And then what happens is, you need all this hard work to get people to buy from you, right? So you want them here. They are about to pay. Then they back off. So you put there like a remarketing pixel so you can get them back. You put a phone number, and if the card declines, you call them up and say, hey, which is noticed, and you send them an email because the card declined. Hey, we noticed your card declined. In Latin America happens a lot. We also accept Western Union, accept PayPal, accept MoneyGram, accept, Fresh Blood, whatever you have, we will get to collect money. A kidney, it doesn't matter. If someone wants to give you money, you will get it. So basically, you do that, and now you have a proper funnel. And you will see that most of the big companies, you do this, and before it was hard. You needed to code this all by hand. Now the tools make it super easy. I can set up this for any company in less than a week. The good thing about this is, what do you think will happen when I'm competing? Myself and the guy with that little funnel we show at the beginning, we're paying the same per click. Who has more chances to make it back? Me. I'm insisting a lot more. I'm more in the inbox. Make sense? So inside here, the shorter your funnel, the bigger your ego. So make sure you are not, at least if you don't do it for the money, do it because you want to be not egotistical or whatever you call it. So what do you need? Because media buying, again, is a bidding process. So the one that can extract more value from the clicks will be able to pay more and get more of the market and more of the impressions of that market. So then suppose you have a funnel like that. So you have all the elements in place, all the slots in place. Now it matters a lot what you say on the ad and what you say in that recovery email. And it matters a lot, because if I say in that recovery email, like, hey stupid, you put the wrong number of the credit card, next time look at it better, how is it going to convert? You still have the email, triggered email, but the copy is bad. So now that you have all the elements, you need to start split testing the copy. And copy can make a huge difference. This is for one of the companies we were coaching. Here, we created very specific ads to the target market. And we got on Facebook, for the guys that advertise on Facebook, a normal CTR will be 1%, 2%, 3% in mobile if you're doing great. We were able to get 17% in mobile. That's 6 times better than a normal guy. Why? Because we really said, okay, if a guy is between this age and is in a relationship, so it means that maybe he wants to propose, so he will, we will send that thing. If a guy is committed, like engaged, we will show them an ad, something like, keep the wedding ring yourself before she picks some expensive one. Like things like that. So, and then we will show that for the guys, and for the girl we will show something different. And you know what? This is what you achieve. Like 6 times better your competitors, or 6 times better, or 7 times better the market. So it pays to pay attention to copy and what you say. It's not only the structure, so it's also the little art and the little things you say in that funnel. So idea number 10 of 12, and I'm almost done. Now test a lot. So you start making changes to the copy, you need to test. And why do you need to test? Because basically it's free money. We have websites where we were spending, $20 20, 30,000 US dollars a month on advertising. So if I go there and double the conversion rate, or increase it by 30%, the conversion rate, I got $9,000 out of free money, just because I did a test and tried another idea. So testing is like free money, really. And start with a point with more traffic and higher drop-off. So because you're a startup, you won't have that much traffic, so it's very hard to get statistically significant conclusions. So start with the points where you have more traffic and higher drop-off. Like if you have a funnel that the first 100 visitors come here, then 50 goes here, and then in the third step of the funnel you have 49, don't split test the page from the 50 to 49 because you're not losing anyone there. Split test the other one because you're losing half of the people. Make sense? So start there. Apply this principle to select of all the things you can optimize. Which one are you going to optimize first? Use this principle, which is pi with another p. There's another principle. A guy calls it pi, but without it, he's missing an idea. I think this thing of potential, of proven, it's important. So take a look at your site and all the ideas you have to test, and you say, okay, what's the potential of the idea? If I double the conversion rate here, does it matter? Like, if I double the conversion page of my privacy policy, will it make a difference in my sales? No. But if I double the conversion rate of my pricing page, of course it will. So pick the ones that have the better potential. Then, pick the ones that are proven. That you say, okay, this is according to psychological principles, this will make better, this will be better. I read on this blog and this blog and this blog that adding scarcity and a timer increases conversions. And I've seen Amazon doing it, so it must work, or it's proven to work, so I picked that idea first. Then you pick the idea that is more important to your business. If your investor is going and saying you need to decrease cost per lead and you need to, well, you start split testing that one, and then you pick the ideas that are easy to implement. Sometimes as little as changing the text of a button can double your conversions. So it's very important that you do that. Make sure you have enough traffic before starting. So don't start tests that will take a year to finish. If you don't have enough traffic, then don't be afraid of doing sequential testing. It's not the proper way to do testing, but it will help you. Like, just run a week of traffic to this funnel and run another week of traffic to another funnel. And you know why split testing, especially in the startup world, is very valuable? Because you get, there are not that many arguments. You have another founder or whatever, and you say, let's do this, or let's do that, or this, and you start arguing. Let's say, let's test it, and let the data tell us which one is better. Get ideas from proven funnels and experts. I love userboard.com. Useronboard.com. What they do is they go to all the websites and basically take screenshots of all their onboarding funnels. So now you will see the best practices. When was the last time you signed up for Facebook? 2 or 3 years ago, when you got the first account? Yeah? 5 years ago, maybe? I promise you, the funnel from Facebook, they've been growing like 100 million users or 200 million users a year since you signed up. I promise you they learned something from that time to another, but you still don't see what are the best practices of the Facebook funnel because you signed up so long ago. So sometimes it pays off. They still have a guy doing growth optimization and everything, and he might have learned a couple of tricks. So it pays off to go and sign up for these famous services again to see what they are doing now, not when you sign up. Then test the copy and the parts of the funnel. Sometimes you need to change the copy, the button, the colors, whatever. And then sometimes say, what if I get rid of this step? It's stupid. Like, okay, and get rid of that step and see how the funnel performs. Get ideas from your data, and that's it. So then you start testing, and what happened, and you start driving a lot of traffic. And when I talk to people, especially early stage companies, they are they come and say, they come to me and say, Juan, I'm so happy. I get a 20% conversion rate from free users to paid users, and I'm so happy. And I say, okay, let's start doing more. And then you can't, and then the conversion rate goes down because you're pumping more users and they're not the main users. And they go, oh, but conversion went down. And I say, how much money were you making when you came to see me? $1,000. How much money are you making now? $50,000. Who cares about conversion rate, right? So a lot of people, remember this, you cannot spend a percentage. So you cannot go and say, give me nasi lemak, here is 100% conversion rate. You can't do that, right? You only can spend money on gross margin. So you need to optimize for gross margin. People take pride on their conversion rates, and then you start driving a lot more road traffic, and conversion rates will go down. Because it's people that are a little bit less interested. They are not looking for buy bus tickets online or buy CRM. They are looking for Excel dashboards, you know, for sales teams. So conversion rate will go down. But what I care though is, what do you prefer? Do you prefer like 10% ROI on $1 million spend? That means I will make 100 grand, or you prefer 100% ROI in $1 spent. So I can live pretty well with $100,000 a year, but I cannot live well out of $1. So please make sure that you don't get into this trap of, oh no, my conversion rate is awesome and whatever I'm doing is decreasing conversion rate, I stop doing it. Just look at gross profit. That's what makes companies grow. And the last one, we're here. Make sure you're tracking. And you can do all these, but it will be all guesswork if you are not tracking. So let me show you why it's important to track, and a couple examples of what could have gone wrong if we weren't tracking. So this is again for one of our companies, and you know, people will say in the internet we can track everything. It's not true yet. So look at this example. So we look at this thing from Google Analytics, right? And we're having 58% of our sessions, so of 100,000 visitors, 64 came from mobile. How many transactions did we get? 8 from all those users. So now you go to desktop, and we had only 37,000 people visit, and then how many transactions did we get? 184. So the smart ass would say, let's turn off mobile. But this is Indonesia. A lot of people have mobile phones and they browse from mobile phones. What do you think it was happening here? The guys were searching on the mobile phone. They're not going to buy a fucking gold bar from the mobile phone. We are not there yet. But then they will go and buy from a desktop. And maybe in Indonesia they don't own a desktop. They do it from another friend's desktop. So if I turn off mobile, would have been a disaster. Yet the data was telling me that. So you need to understand the data a little bit more and ask questions and do a little bit of Sherlock Holmes type of work. Make sense? So imagine if we weren't tracking this, or if we weren't smart enough to say, hey, maybe there's another story going on here. It's not that mobile track. They were convinced this is because my mobile site is my site is not responsive. That could be also part of the problem. But if we kill mobile, we will have killed sales, and we would say, I don't know, what happened? People are not buying. It's the economic crisis and all that. You will come up with a lot of excuses. It's actually a wrong decision because you didn't understand data. Okay, so this is for my business. So I tag all the emails in Google Analytics to see what emails are driving sales. So I have follow-up emails, and then I see, oh, look, the emails are making more money, the most money are getting the less traffic. And this I just found out, so I'm not like still, and I've been running this for a long while, so when I look at this, I'm like, I'm kind of stupid, but in any case. So I see all these emails with a lot more traffic. I'm getting more traffic on these emails that are making me less money and have, sometimes 10% of the conversion rate of the other emails. So maybe I want to switch them up and say, maybe I put first the promotions and then second some content. I don't know. So not, especially for the guys that do multi-country approaches, not traffic is created equal. You will say a user is worth $1. Not that much. Like if you look at here, in Mexico, we have a 7.7 conversion rate. In the US, we have a 12% conversion rate. And in Peru, we have a 5.48% conversion rate. So I could pay almost 3 times for a user on Mexico than what I can do in Peru. And when I tell my Google AdWords girl, spend 3 times for this user, and she was like, are you crazy? She's smart enough to understand that, but it's like, yeah, I want you to pay 3 times as much that our average because it converts at 3 times as much. But if you do a cost average and you say, no, I only pay $1 per install, and then you will be missing on a lot of things and overpaying for another things. And I know that in Argentina I cannot pay more than 80 cents or 60 cents for an email sign up, and in the US I can pay up to $12 and I will be profitable. So it's a huge difference, and you can look at it by city, same thing. You go the capital city versus the other things, and this is what allows you to optimize the spend. When a VC comes and puts you $2 million that or $4 million and you're going to spend half of that on user acquisition, if you don't do that, you will be wasting half. And it's not that hard, it's just caring about numbers, and if you're not numbers driven, hire somebody that is, because it will make you a lot more money. Here again, you see all the sales we had from each country, and again, I'm not only looking at analytics, it's awesome, but I also look at my own data from my own database and backend to see if it matches what I'm looking at analytics. And I see the same. In the US, I convert 1 out of 3 people that give me their email, I convert them into buyers. It's outstanding. And if I wanted to brag about conversion rate, I would only do US Hispanics. And I would say, I'm the best conversion guy ever. Yeah, but I would be freaking poor. So then it's a lot better to go here and I say that in Mexico I convert 3%, and in Spain I convert almost 4%, and then in Venezuela, of course, there's screwed up completely. I convert at 0.38. It's like 100 times less than in the US. Make sense? So, don't hide from your customers. Here's another thing that we do. We chat in the checkout. So, if we add in a chat, we convert 18% of the guys that go to the checkout, they end up doing a transaction. Of the guys that don't go to the checkout, that don't chat with us in the checkout, only 10% do a transaction. So do you want to have chat now or not? You say, oh, but it's not scalable. What do you mean it's not? Or the phone. Do you want to pick up the phone? People say, it's not scalable to pick up the phone. What do you mean? There are companies in India with 10,000 people roaming a call center, right? So it's scalable. You just need, it's a little bit more work. The problem here is people sell you this internet dream of I work from home and we didn't have an office and whatever, but we work our asses off. And if we think that picking up the phone increases conversions, I pick up the fucking phone. You know, it doesn't matter. We find a way to do it. So. Also in analytics, you can understand what happens in your pages. This is what was going on in our checkout pages. So I thought our checkout was performing bad because we were in the Spanish market and people were just afraid of buying online. And when I look at here, and we were getting a lot of declines. So when I look at this data, I say, okay, I had 25,000 people visit the checkout, but only 5,000 put their email address. So when I look at here, well, 5,000 put their email address, and then only 4,900 put their phone number. So I said, that's not much of a big drop-off. Also, the phone number is optional, so asking for the phone number is not a problem. So then I go, 5,300 put their credit card. So basically what was going on here is we didn't have the conversion rate of the exchange rate, and we were putting US dollars, and because I'm from Argentina and our currency is like crazy and we have 40% inflation and all that shit, you talk to any Argentinian and the guy knows how much is the US dollar worth. But turns out, in Mexico and Peru, like, the economy is a little bit more normal. People are not that aware of that. So they needed to know what the US dollar was worth, and when we put that, conversions went up. And then, lastly, when I talk to companies, if they have analytics setups, actually part of the genesis of this Cerebro program was I went to the Mexico incubator, accelerator there of 500 startups, and I went in week like 5 or so. And I was there, and I say to a company, show me your analytics. And they told me, like, what? Yeah, your analytics account. I don't have one. So what the hell are you doing here? Like, how do you make decisions? And they were super product focused on creating the products, but you still need to have an analytics account set up. So I said, hey guys, you know what? We need to do analytics training and do like a 101, like, you know, digital marketing 101 for these guys. And that was the first week of kind of the pre-Cerebro type of program we ran in Mexico, or like the genesis of this program, the origins of this program. And the other thing that you have, even if you have an analytics account, then people are not tagging the links properly, and look at link tagging, Google Analytics, Google that. It's very important that you do that, because if not, when you look at the analytics of this company, for example, you see that most of their transactions, they come from direct. I say, so if 80% of their transactions are coming from direct, yeah, oh, thank you. 80% of the transactions are coming from direct, I say, okay, let's do more of that. And because it's direct, you don't know what is that. So it turned out that people were chatting with the agents, and then the agents will do, like the chat agent will do the purchase for the customer. Somehow the customer preferred to give the credit card to the agent via the chat instead of putting them themselves. I don't understand why, but that happened, and then we were getting a lot of direct transactions. Then we figured out, now we know what we need to do. And now I can tell the guy, you know what? Double your chat agents. Some people are coming here and they're not being chatted to because you're too busy. And now he's comfortable doing that because it makes sense. So make sure you tag all your traffic so you can have very clear numbers. So to finish, let's compare again. This is the lazy startup funnel, like the guy that does the normal thing. And this is what I advocate you to do. And this is as important as building your product, as having a good pitch deck. And I always say, and yesterday I was listening to TheLuxeNomad, the video of, that we showed in the first place, and they were talking about, Mark Anderson was talking about how to raise money, and he said something that I agree with. He said, of course, I mean, he's probably a lot smarter than me, but, so he said, like, founders spend a lot more time perfecting the pitch than perfecting the product. And I always say, it's a lot easier to raise money with an Excel sheet than with PowerPoint. And it's actually true. This will get you an Excel sheet that works, or it doesn't, and maybe you get a shitload of traffic, and then you find out that your idea is not worth pursuing, and that's okay, because that's why it's called a startup, it's uncertain, but I'd rather you find out early than spend 3 years waiting for SEO traffic to come in, and you wasted 3 years of your life. You have unique gifts. If you are in this startup world, it's because you want to change the world in some way or another. At least because you want to make enough money to buy a Lamborghini or whatever. But it doesn't matter. What is your motivation? Like, you're here, you will create jobs and whatever. And if you're willing to put up with a lot of shit, entrepreneurs may need to put up. Like, it's not an easy path. I'd rather you try the next thing a lot quicker instead of having hope in something that won't work, because learning comes from a lot of users going through your funnel, not for time. Like, if you had 1 user a day, I'd rather have 300 users the first day and learn what I need to learn and then move on. So that's the first part of my talk. I think I went a lot over the time, I'm really sorry. We will watch video and then come back for a very brief thing, more internal things on how to think about startups and everything. I hope you found it valuable.
Well, thanks, Juan. That was great. So let's see whether the video downloaded. It's on your machine, right? Okay, let me just... It's not listed amongst all the other videos you downloaded, right?
Okay. The foreign ones are okay. Oh, fail.
No! Hey, Jen? Lynn?
Khailee.
Yeah.
Use the YouTube link.
Oh, use the YouTube link.
Where's the YouTube link?
Yeah, it's here. Show.
Nice.
Hope the internet's good enough for YouTube link. Let's see if the audio shows.
Hey, I'm Grillen and I'm a co-founder.
Okay, we're going to start again. So here are the case study videos of all the 4 companies, what they did and what they got.
Hey, I'm Grillen and I'm a co-founder of CatchThatBus. We are an online travel aggregator for intercity express buses across Malaysia and Singapore. We've been around for about 2 years, so we launched our mobile app 4 to 5 months ago. We're growing at 40 to 50%, as aggressive as our web growth, but then we got a round of funding, and obviously the expectations went up even higher. So when something's growing as quickly as that, how do you even push that to a higher limit? So we had Google Analytics set up, that at least we thought we had it set up. So we were getting a lot of data. It's just that maybe it wasn't the data that we actually were supposed to see. And so Juan came in, he looked at it and he said, you know what, there's a better way of tracking the data you're getting. You're getting a lot of rich data, but you're not, really utilizing what you're seeing on the dashboard. And so that's when we, looked in, dug in deep, realized that look, we need to start tracking certain metrics. We knew we were selling, tickets, but we weren't tracking, which routes were popular, how much we were selling on a daily basis. That kind of information we had to dig deep into our backend database. So we'd be bugging our developers, getting the data from them every other day. And now, because Google Analytics was set up correctly, we were able to see that data in front of us without having to bother anyone, which was a big difference for us. So when we first started, there was no experimentation. We literally were just putting an ad out there and expecting to see results. And we continued that, for around 6 months, 8 months, and we thought, okay, this is the right way to do it. But then when we participated at Cerebro, we suddenly realized that there's another better way of doing it, by experimenting with hundreds of ads. So that's where Juan's input became very useful. We used a tool called Edit Espresso, and literally we did something similar to split testing. We literally threw 50 ads out, and we realized that out of 50, only 20 worked. And which was wow, amazing that something that we never knew before existed. And now we suddenly realize that, oh, we've wasted 8 months doing one ad when we could have done 50 and gotten the results in 24 hours. And I think that was one of the biggest things that, made it was a huge impact for us. I was like, wow, okay, it's a eureka moment that why didn't we know about this earlier? I think that was one of the big lessons, especially when it came to the mobile app installs. So that was, a key takeaway for us. When I joined Cerebro, it was as though I had like a personal coach telling me what to do every single day for like 8 weeks. Similar to a teacher standing over your shoulder, making sure that you get your homework done. I think if I tried to do it on my own, I would not have put in the effort because I would have had 100 different things to do. I would have ended up pushing this out of the way because it might not have looked important at that point of time. And so I think this was all worth when I reflect back, I realized this 8 weeks was really worth it. So most people look at growth from a marketing or revenue perspective. People don't see it from a internal perspective, becoming more efficient operationally. And applying Scrum to our situation has made everyone a lot more efficient and more focused. Some quick examples: when we used to advertise for mobile app downloads, we were doing maybe 10, 20 downloads. But through experimentation, suddenly we saw 100 downloads a day. A huge, and these were like real focus, within a day we suddenly saw this huge jump. And effectively now we've doubled our mobile app installs over the past 8 weeks. So that's been pretty good for us. And now from these learnings we can accelerate that. In terms of Google Ads, for example, we are now having 80% in terms of impressions. With double the amount we spent, we've quadrupled that number over 8 weeks again. So again, these are big things we've suddenly seen in this 8 weeks. Data should be your best friend. You need to look at every single metric that is key to your business. So don't ignore it just because you're starting off. I think that should be sort of the fundamentals you should be an expert at. That's number one. Second, never assume you know everything. You need to know that just because you spend a huge amount of money on online advertising doesn't mean you're going to be the number one leader in that space. Third thing, make sure your entire team knows why you are doing something. If it's asking them to do changes on the site because you need that data collected in Google Analytics, show them those results. Show them that, look, because of what you're doing, we now have a more accurate view of why we are doing certain things and why we should be spending money on things and why we shouldn't be spending money on other things.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Chai, and I'm the founder of TheLuxeNomad.com, which is Asia's leading luxury hotel villa booking portal. I started it 2 years ago, basically because I love to travel and, of course, stay in nice places. But I felt there was something missing in the market in terms of an aspirational brand. So I launched the Lux Nomad. We make it very personable, very much like a friend who's always in the know. And we curate our properties, which is how we're different. And so far it's paid off because till today, we have the largest Instagram following in the world for any online travel agency. Before we joined the Cerebro course, we'd done quite well because we had about 2 mil in sales and we were spending only about 70K on online marketing, which is a pretty good figure in the very competitive world of travel where people spend millions and millions of dollars on SEM each year. Having said that, I felt that AdWords, SEO is definitely something very important to the brand, even though we look fantastic in organic growth and PR, you need to be the master of everything. So myself and my number 2, Elaine, both joined the program and we sort of took turns on the 8-week course because we really wanted to understand the fundamentals of AdWords. And I think as a founder or anyone who wants to run any company, you should know what goes on in every department. I think it was really fantastic to be able to be in the same room with some of the great startups, and those founders were really knowledgeable and helpful and supportive. And sometimes all you need is like a fresh pair of eyes or someone who's also in the same industry that can look at your business model or your site and give you some simple tips that you simply miss because you're doing it every day. When you're looking at results, I think some of the results you see are immediate and then others take a little bit more time to come through. But one of the first major differences we saw was that our CPC dropped from about $3 to $2. Our CTR increased immensely as well, and also our position. It went from being in position 6 to 7 to 1 to 3, and that really helped us with our click-throughs and getting more quality kind of inquiries. Because what we really wanted to do was push up the booking for our larger villas, as those are great big-ticket size items. Something else that worked for us was improving our customer service, which is really important in the villa market, because sometimes you have a lot of questions back and forth with the customer, especially when they're booking this massive villa, right, in Bali or Phuket. So we installed Fresh Desk, and it's helped a lot because now my staff and the team, they're able to track all the inquiries, to follow up accordingly, when before it was honestly a little bit of a mess using Gmail. So yeah, overall we saw an increase in sales. I think in 1 week our sales doubled from the week before, and our inquiries just they shot through the roof. So I did the ad copy myself. My number two, Elaine, also learned how to put it up and use the AdWords editor and so forth. And we managed to bring our CTR down from our CPC, down from $3 to about nearly to $2 a click, which was a huge improvement. I mean, that's like a 33% improvement. And we moved our placement in Google as well. I think we were sitting at number 5, number 6, and we moved up to between number 1 and number 3. And because of that, we saw the quality of our inquiries improve, and our CTR jump immensely. And I think in 1 week, we pretty much doubled our sales compared to the week before that we had started the course. Even though you start out with one business model, don't be afraid to change it in accordance to what your customers want or the market wants, because that will always be fluid. And I think more than ever today, you see trends come and go. You see some major startups go like this and go like that. The ones that really succeed, if you look at Amazon and so forth, are the ones who start up here and then sort of do a lot of other stuff and make it work. So it comes down to the idea, it comes down to execution, and I think most of all being positive. You've got to always look on the bright side of life, especially if you are, to motivate and inspire your team. So, ganbate.
Hi, my name is Khun Peng, co-founder of Orori. We are an e-commerce website selling jewelry such as wedding rings, engagement rings, necklace, earrings, and pendants. Our website allows customers to buy gold and diamonds. Since 2012, after we have moved our business 100% online, our revenue has been growing quite steadily year on year. Currently, we have our own team to manage the creative and development of our website. When it comes to online marketing, we work with third-party agencies for online media management. The result has been quite okay, however, we feel that we can be more aggressive in growing our revenue. Recently, we have received a 7-digit funding from our investors. With this new funding, we have changed our strategy to build our own online marketing kit, so as we will be able to manage our online campaign in-house, including management of the paid media such as AdWords, display ads, and Facebook ads. The cerebral course has come just at the right time, because this accelerated growth hacking course has equipped our team with valuable knowledge and the skill set to do all the implementation correctly, and so this will be able to put all our online campaigns on track. We spent a lot of time with Juan on actual implementation of campaigns for Orori. We did a lot of things, such as we review our GA implementation, and we are able to identify a lot of areas on how we can improve our tagging. And our programmer was actually there to make different changes. So we also review our AdWords, our existing AdWords account, Facebook Ad Manager account. We saw a lot of opportunity on how we can improve our AdWords campaign. So eventually we actually created, together with MaSTERCLASS, we created a brand new AdWords account, set up new campaigns, we created new ads, and we actually launched a whole lot of new campaigns on AdWords, display banner, and Facebook ads as well. We also very closely monitor our campaigns results, and we always track on each conversion of the different campaigns, how much revenues are we generating, and we do a lot of fine-tuning to keep on improving the results that we are getting from all the online campaigns to ensure that we get things right. We see significant growth in our revenue over the past 8 weeks. In fact, for the past 2 months, our revenue has grown by more than 30% per month. And with Juan's advice, we have also made some changes to the UI of our website, and this has resulted in improvement in our sales conversion by 20%. And more importantly, with this 8-week course, our team members such as our media specialist, our analytics guy, and also our UI guy have learned a lot. And this have, it allowed them to equip with all the necessary skill sets, and now they are ready to utilize the knowledge learned to continue driving the growth of our sales. So our goal is to more than double our monthly revenue in 3 months' time. For startups like us who have received funding, it has actually opened a whole lot of opportunities for us to aggressively drive the growth of the company, be it in terms of revenue or user base. So I would strongly suggest startups to build, to really look into building their own digital marketing team, invest in talented media specialists, and also good UX manager. So I believe that the successful combination of these two functions will yield very high growth, and by having your own in-house team, founders will also have more control and on execution, and they will also have better visibility on the campaign performance.
My name is Ross. I handle marketing for iMoney. We're the leading financial comparison website in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines, as well as Singapore. We help banks reach out to customers who are online looking for products, and we help customers find the best products from the banks, be it fixed deposits, home loans, credit cards, personal loans. We just make sure that they get the best product. I think a lot of things that we went into Cerebro thinking, we were like, yeah, we're doing Facebook, yeah, we're doing Google, we're doing a bunch of this stuff. And if we didn't do Cerebro, I think we probably would never have taken a lot of steps that we were taking. It's more like the fact that you just wouldn't think that way. You think about running ads a certain way, running your landing pages a certain way. So we probably would never have taken this step. The petrol quiz never would have happened if we didn't enter this program. So it's the different frame of mind that was brought to the table that was really important to us. Even I was really surprised because we ran all this stuff, but the differences in approach really helped out a lot. So we had this petrol quiz that we sort of landed on, and that became the sort of the hero performing product. And what we saw is that on average you converted at about 2% for an ad to a lead when it comes to the website. But when we did this campaign, this little quiz, we saw it go from 2% on average to a 60% average conversion. So it was a huge jump, and that's something that we really learned onto. That engaging the customer really well was a great idea. So for running ads on Facebook and Google and stuff, so what we used to think was, let's keep things. We would try to be very sophisticated because we thought our market was at that level. But when Juan came in, what he told us was that your market is likely not at the level, or even if they are, they probably don't care. So instead of writing about all the credit card features and making it sound really cool, why don't you just drill down to just the key features and why the credit card is really awesome. So we started creating ads that all they said was just, get this credit card, save 10% every day on your spending. Get this credit card, save 10 gallons of gas a year. And it was very straightforward, very simple. And what we started seeing was that, from previously when we started running our ads, looking really cool, like Apple and Spotify, but where we changed to this form of ads, we saw like a 20% increase in our conversion, in the click-through rate on our ads. So it was a big change. So it helped us out a lot in being able to get traffic at a lower cost. We started seeing really good results when we did the petrol quiz, which is something that Juan identified as something that we could really win at. And we, on average, converted at about 2% for a credit card lead. But when we initiated this quiz, we saw conversions at 60% on average. So it was a huge, huge, huge increase for us. Don't skip on marketing. Always look at your end-to-end. Make sure your funnel is as wide all the way down. Don't make sure that your funnel is not wide only on acquisition. Make sure your sales funnel is as wide as possible. But make sure your funnel is as wide as possible all the way through. Don't make the funnel only wide on the ads part. Make sure it's wide on the sales part. Make sure it's wide on the actual conversion the whole way through. That's important. You don't have to be that fancy. You don't have to be that sophisticated. Keep it simple. Keep it to the key points that the customer really cares about. And if you just said things in 4 or 5 words, you could probably get a lot further than a nice fancy paragraph.
Okay. As you can see, I have the attention span of squirrel. In any case, so this section is a little bit, it's just 4 or 5 tips on a little bit more on what goes in my mind when I try to grow a company or when I try to help them. And the first thing I want to tell you a story is I used to play chess when I was a kid, and pretty nerdy now, and before I was even worse. So I used to play this game called Kasparov Chessmate. Everybody knows here who's Kasparov, right? He was one of the best players. He was world champion multiple times. He was the guy that was defeated actually by Deep Blue, the IBM project. So it's a guy, like super smart guy, super sharp. He had a chess thing, and I was chess champion in my school when I was little, and then I was training with this type of chess software. And I couldn't beat this guy, of course. He was the world champion, and there was a machine. I was a little kid trying to play chess. But here's one thing that I found, that in the system, you can actually pause the system and then move the pieces, like the system wouldn't count, and then unpause the system. So I found how to beat Kasparov chess. I basically was moving twice as fast as he was moving, and I was able to win that way, right? And of course in chess you cannot do that, but in business you can. In business, if you move twice as much every time your competitors moves once, then you will win. You can be half as smart and be equal. So, yeah, right? And we're talking, and that's a big difference. So people don't consider speed as a very important thing. And one thing I think, aside from the results we can get from Cerebro, I think the companies also got, like, how hard you need to try and how many things you need to try to actually get to something that works. And also it has to do with how to deal with frustration, because, like, honestly, most of the things we try fail. But once you find one, it makes a difference. So, so really, it's a matter of how you can organize yourself. How you can think yourself as, okay, business the rules, I put the rules, so if I move twice as fast, I can beat Kasparov's chess. Make sense? Okay, so then the other thing is, I think you need to build a growth team. And you have, I've seen startups that is all about product, and that's amazing, and I think product is a very important part of the equation. You cannot grow, like, growth hack your way out of a shitty product, very hard to do. So be the growth team and let them do their job, what I meant there. So basically is make sure you're focusing on growth of users. Paul Graham said you should be growing at 8% a week. If you're in startup mode, make sure you're always growing. And that's, you know, it's the function of the growth team. You cannot be focused on growth and doing accounting at the same time. Very hard. So if you don't have the money to do to have a growth team, at least do growth days. Which, what I mean is, put all the ideas that customer support gets, that people don't understand, or that you read in some place, and once a week, or once a month, or once a whatever, do a growth day if you can hire a growth team. If you're at a growth stage, guess who has the priority on resources? Like, if you are, you know, you have one designer for the whole company, and then you're in growth stage and you need to be aggressive of growth, what do? The designer needs to do this flyer for the internal party that you're throwing out for Christmas, or they need to do the growth thing first? Well, they do need to do the growth things first. Sometimes I see a lot of companies with a lot of money, the priorities are not aligned to growth and experimentation. So what most companies do, like even Facebook, Uber, like all the big companies, they have growth teams, completely independent. They have everything they need to make experiments. They don't need to ask for permission. There's just a set of rules that they cannot go over. They just run experiment after experiment after experiment. But then, you know, the guys that we work on this type of, I would say, area, we tend to push the envelope a little bit too far sometimes. Get some shortcuts, so keep those guys in check, because we are super aggressive on, you know, like grow, and sometimes we will go out and do something that you won't be very proud. So make sure you keep the growth in check, and you don't let those guys sacrifice, you know, long term because of short-term gains. And it happens a lot when I'm in the direct response marketing industry, and when a new advertising platform starts, they allow you to do almost anything if you're willing to spend money. Back in the day, in Google you could advertise anything. You could send people to a landing page with a shitty experience to download a software that was buggy or was malware, and they started putting policies and policies and policies and policies. And then it dies out. The same with Facebook. Facebook, probably a couple of months ago, you could see these ads like lose 35 million pounds in 2 days by eating pizza, you know, that type of ads. And now Facebook will start buying them because now they have enough money coming in that they don't need those douchey guys to be in there. So be very careful what we growth guys, we will do what it works, right? Because that's our job. Make sure we don't go over, we don't overpromise. So you still need, even if you're twice as fast and you have a growth team or whatever, you still need to work your ass off. Like what will get you the results is actually trying and testing and comparing. And there could be very big difference between, these are a couple campaigns we set up for one of the companies, and you can be like this app install was 2.6, and then we have another app installed at 4.8. Completely different, like almost 50% different. Look at how many campaigns we tried, right? So that's important. You really need to work your ass off. Like there's not, like when people say it's not about smart and whatever, you get smarter working harder. And that's an important work ethic to have. And then, you know, sometimes we spend with companies a lot of time and we say, okay, this is our goal. And we will need to get this many downloads at this price. And this many, that figure, we pull it out of our ass. At the price, again, out of our ass. So then you go, I failed. Well, no. And then you say, okay, I'm not getting downloads at $2, or I'm not getting downloads at $10, or whatever, or I'm not getting conversions at $10. And you try 50 things, and you're still not getting conversion at $50 or $10. You know what that tells you? Maybe the conversion doesn't cost $10, it costs 20. So if you try it that many times and you cannot really bump it up, keep trying, but maybe then there is a math problem. There's a problem that you are just not prepared to pay what you need to pay for that extra user. So I want to give you a couple examples that are really extreme. So you know Box, right? It's like Dropbox, but for the enterprise. These guys are worth a lot of money, and these guys, basically, every time they spend, the figure implies a payback period of 2.5 years for each acquired customers. That means he pays, and I think the customer average value is like 3,000 or whatever. He pays $3,000, and he only sees that $3,000 back 2.5 years. He needs to wait for 2.5 years to make that money back. But you know what? He has a billion-dollar company because he's willing to do that. Because he grows and grows and grows, doesn't matter the cost that much. Because this is what he knows. If someone gets on box, they ain't moving anytime soon. You know? So look at HubSpot. So HubSpot, this is average revenue per customer. In 2013, they were at 7,752, and they spent to get a customer $11,000 for each customer. $11,000 to get a customer on a CRM. So because they have a retention rate of 82.9, which is pretty good, they are only seeing that money back in 2 years. So that means they go and put $11,000, you forget for 2 years until you get the back, you get the installments, right? But now they were able to grow to a $100 million company in 7 years just because they are that aggressive. So sometimes it's a math problem. You already reached whatever you can reach at that stage of your business. So now you need to work out how you're going to do the math in another way so investor can support you in the growth curve. And I think what people get in Silicon Valley is this thing. They are not afraid of paying $11,000 US per customer. It's crazy. But now it's crazy the path to success. They are already worth more than $1 billion. When you look at Salesforce, still a huge company. They will be, I think, $10 billion in revenue next year, and they are worth about 35 or 40 billion last time I checked. When you see the amount of money they spend on marketing, it's insane. Why do they do that? Because they know that if you have an account with Salesforce, once you set it up, the system and everything, you're not canceling, so you're a customer for life. So that's what Silicon Valley gets, that I think in Latin America and maybe here in Asia. I think here in Asia you will get it a lot better because you're a lot more long-term focused than in Latin America. But keep in mind that sometimes you're doing everything wrong, everything right, just the math is wrong. So solution to the math problem. So the first solution is you track better. So basically you say, okay, instead of saying I'm going to repay the user for 3 months and the cookie expires, you figure out a way to track it for 12 months or 15 months or 24 months, so you can assign that purchase and that revenue to the ad spend. The other thing is you need to increase conversions. If I increase conversion, my customer acquisition cost goes down. The third one is just grow a pair of balls and spend more money. And if you don't have the money, then you need to go and raise money if you need it. But most of the time, a lot of people, they spend enough time here, but this one, and you need to be comfortable with that. Companies that grow do these crazy things as spending $11,000 for a customer. Make sense? And then, here's for me the most, I am here because I probably study and copy more than anybody on what works. So you're a piece of knowledge, really. Maybe this talk was the piece of knowledge you needed to make your company bigger. Maybe it's the startup class that was the thing that you needed to make your company bigger. Maybe it's a random video on YouTube that 500 startups published there. Maybe they open all the conferences there. It's amazing what they do. Like I watch, every time there's a conference, I live in Argentina, I cannot go all the time to their conferences, but I can watch the YouTube videos. You just search 500 Startups YouTube channel, and you will see like congresses and Warren Gun, and they have one conference for each of the topics. It's amazing. You will learn a lot from people that are doing it, not theoretical guys, people that is actually designing the landing page, or they're running the AdWords account or whatever. So go and watch that thing. This is important. And where to learn and find ideas to copy. Some resources is look at successful companies. They test a lot. So I was talking once to, there's a Telefonica, it's a telecom corporation in Latin America, and I was talking to their head of e-commerce, and they had the buy button in the left, right? And I say, please, tell me about a $1 billion company that has the buy button on an e-commerce on the left. everyone has it on the right? Like Amazon, and people are used to it. They changed that, they had a huge bump. So even at big corporations, they don't get this. Figure out who's the best, try to emulate what you can learn. Don't go on flat out copy, but there are some patterns on it. If you see all the buy buttons on the right, maybe there's something to it, you know? So a good site to get this is user on board. Then, how are they buying ads? What are they ads? What are they running? So you have these companies, AdBid, what runs where, SEMrush. I can actually put my keyword there and see what ads. This should be illegal though. But it is perfectly legal. I can go to AdBid and say, okay, I have a competitor in the US or someone that is doing something similar in the US. Let's look at that domain. And these guys, they crawl all the internet and they look at the banners. And you see the banners they're running. Where are they running them? And then you click on the banner and you go to the landing page. So now you will be able to see their complete funnel for a very successful company. And now you can start from there, and it will be a lot better of what you are going to come up with, especially if it is your first startup and you're not trained on conversions. So then, browse, research, and be a customer. Go to your competitors, and browse their site. Search for them, see what you find out, be a customer, buy something from them, and see what's the experience. What happens? Do they send me the same emails if I'm a customer versus if I'm not a customer? Do they market even harder if I'm a customer versus I'm not a customer? What do they do? Do they send me cookies? You know, there are companies, they send you actual physical goods if you sign up for them. What do they do? Learn from them. And then if you want to see what I read, you can read what I read. You will find some of the weird things here, but you also will find out some Spanish things. But if you go to bit.ly Juan's Feedly, you will be able to download my Feedly, and you will see all the conversion blogs I read, all the AdWords blogs I read, the people I follow on social media and blogs, etc. You just load it, you install it in Feedly. Maybe this crowd is too young to remember RSS, but at one point in time they were popular. And I still think it's a better way than going through all the blogs, so I still use RSS. So you can go there and you will be able to download my RSS. You will find some things in Spanish or whatever. If you don't understand it, it's because it's another language, but mostly they're in English. Some tools. So I told you, I was going to tell you how to, what tools do we use for all these things. So here, for campaign building, we use Google AdWords Editor in general, or there's a new tool called AdStage.io. For Facebook, we use normally AdEspresso, QYA, or AdStage.io also. AdEspresso is amazing, super easy to use, and anyone can set up a campaign very easy, and it will end up with a nice campaign. Then, if you need to do email drips or trigger like sequences, you can use intercom.io or customer.io. So when someone visits this page, if he didn't buy yet, then you can go to and send him this email. If someone is a customer and visited this page and he hasn't logged in for whatever months, you can send him this email. So you can do all these things automatically, like from a WYSIWYG type of interface. Email broadcast, you can use SendGrid, MailChimp, or Ontraport. Customer support, you could use Help Scout, Zendesk, or Desk. Ontraport, CRMs, you could use Ontraport, Pipedrive, Pipedrive Deals, Soho CRM, or Salesforce. Rapid landing page building. What happens if you want to try a new idea and build very rapidly a landing page? You could use lead pages, Unbounce, or Megaphone app. Tracking, Google Analytics, Kissmetrics, or Mixpanel. Google Analytics is free. If you're looking for more advanced implementation, I would go Mixpanel or Kissmetrics. Phone support, if you want to make sure your agents actually are recorded when they talk to your customers and when they call them, you can use TalkDesk or if by phone. Then project management software, so you can execute rapidly. You could use Asana. I use this one, Basecamp or Trello. So those are the resources, and we will figure out a way to get you the slides. I was thinking that you were taking pictures. We will get you the slides. So in any case, now this is all this buzzword of growth hacking or whatever. Now they call it growth hacking. For years I call it doing my job. And actually it's like if you're a marketer and you want to grow things and understand how people work and what happens in their psychology that makes them buy and being able to persuade them, I think that's our job and the job of everybody that wants here to have a successful company. And I hope this talk allow you to at least uncover a little bit of the things like at least I do and I know a lot of successful companies do. So no matter how you want to call it or how you want to call this talk or what we do, try to start doing your job and having fun doing it. So I think that's it. So happy growing. Thank you so much.